Hi guys, Chase Bassett here again with Ellerbrock-Norris. Today I want to continue the video series that I've been putting together around enterprise risk management. So far we've been through 4 out of 10 impact areas of risk that we evaluate when working with organizations. And those 4 are property casualty insurance, the second one being benefits and retention of employees, the third one being business continuity, and the fourth one being key personnel planning. Now, today I want to focus on another impact area that we call perpetuation planning, and another term that we like to use is transition readiness. Now, these are very complex conversations, and every situation is dynamic. So, we recommend working with a certified exit planner to develop the best plan for your situation. Now, we need to look at this from 2 different angles, one being from an ownership standpoint and the second one being from an operations standpoint. And we need to evaluate the planned exit from the business, but also the unplanned exit from the business. The first area we're going to focus on is from a planned exit standpoint and what that means from the ownership standpoint. Now, we really need to start with what is the owner trying to accomplish and what are his goals with the ownership transition of the business. Now, here are some things to think about. This is not all encompassing, but some of the main areas that we evaluate. The first one being, are we selling to a family member? And if so, what price makes sense to all parties involved? The second one being, are we selling to a third party? If so, how are we going to maximize the value from that sale of the business? And the third area to really consider is the effect that taxes play in this ownership transition, and how are we going to minimize that impact. The second area for a planned exit to evaluate is from an operations standpoint. Now, as we all know, many times the owner is the one who started the business and is the biggest asset to the company. So we need to evaluate how we're going to replace the value that owner provides, and also just get an understanding of what that value is so that we can continue operating at a high level. Now, the other angle I want to evaluate, or we need to evaluate, is the unplanned exit. Now, this revolves around what if the owner is unable to show up tomorrow for whatever reason, whether that's death, disability, or other circumstances. How are we going to transfer that ownership to whoever might be involved, whether that's a family member, at what price makes sense for that family member? Do we have a buy-sell agreement in place? If so, when was the last time it was evaluated? And how are we going to fund that ownership transition? What value are we going to put on the business for that transition? And also, how is the company going to buy out that owner? Oftentimes, whoever the business is transitioning to, they don't have the funds to buy out the owner on the spot. Another area to evaluate is what happens to the value of the company when the owner is gone. If we're going to sell to a third party and that owner is in fact one of the biggest assets that we have, and they're gone tomorrow, the value of the company is going to be impacted significantly. So that is another area we need to evaluate. The second piece of this is from an ownership standpoint. And again, the owner being the biggest asset, we really need to evaluate what value they bring to the organization, how we're going to replace that value that they provide, and also look at the effect that it has on employees. Oftentimes we have 20, 40, 50, 200, whatever the number is, of employees that rely on the company for their livelihood. So we need to have a plan for them so that we can continue operating at a high level if that is one of the goals that the owner has. So again, like I mentioned, this is not all encompassing. We need to look at it from a planned exit standpoint and an unplanned exit standpoint, how the ownership is going to transition, how the operations are going to transition, and we really need to have a plan around all of those different things. So please reach out to us if you have any questions on anything. We'll do what we can to help. And stay safe, stay healthy, and have a great rest of the day. Thanks.